Hey everyone, hello all. It's me, Lawrence Sonntag, aka Quintessential Gamer here, hosting Ubisoft Forward for Gfuel Energy. As you can see, the Ubisoft Forward event hasn't really started yet. They're kind of in preliminary stuff right now, teasing out some updates to their service games like The Crew, Brawlhalla. I imagine we'll get a lot of that as the event itself starts. There's been some leaks, some spicy little leaks about what we might be seeing in the event. But since we have some time here, we can chit-chat a little bit. First of all, you may have heard some headlines about Ubisoft recently. They've had a little bit of... they're in some hot water right now. So I'm going to cover that real quick. Before I get into it, I want to make it very clear. I'm not telling you that you have to feel any particular way about anything. I'm just going to cover things fairly objectively, let you know what's going on, and then you can decide how you feel about the topics. I will also encourage you to, if you have charged opinions one way or the other about these issues, or maybe how they should be addressed, maybe just keep those in the old noggin. Because these are topics that people get pretty heated about. Personally, I wouldn't feel right contributing to a promotional event about a company that has some fire going around it without at least making everyone aware of what's going on. I'm not telling you to buy or not buy the games. I'm not telling you to support or not support the company. I just want to make sure that everyone has the information such as it's been reported. That's it. So, with that in mind, I will turn the audio down here, and let's click through a few Chrome tabs real quick. So this is kind of the issue. Back in July, Jason Schreier, now of Bloomberg, reported about tons and tons and tons of well, tons is maybe a bit strong. I believe the phrasing is multiple dozens of employees kind of anonymously talked about issues they had working at Ubisoft, sexual misconduct, frat house sort of cultures in their workplaces, women and people of color passed over for promotions, not listened to, etc., etc. Kind of in line with a lot of what we've heard from complaints about other game developers. This was then followed up by just tons of other reporting, to the extent where, you know, it would be very difficult to claim that these claims are not real, based on the number of outlets that reported on it and the volume of anonymous complaints and sometimes specific complaints about Ubisoft employees, Ubisoft management, and Ubisoft culture. So that wasn't great. It resulted in what, you know, ostensibly are corrective actions by Ubisoft. They, in August, fired executive Tommy Francois after he was accused of sexual assault. That's pretty bad, the accusation is. Here's the thing that people are kind of upset about, is that a lot of people claim that the retaliatory actions taken against the people who were specifically listed in these claims is not enough. This person was sacked. However, this is a fun little bit. Ubisoft source with knowledge of the material said Francois' departure did not include a financial settlement, although he will be able to keep any shares he has in the company. So there's some concern about the fact that the people who participated in these behaviors and profited from the sidelining of certain people were able to profit from those activities and continue to profit from them, since they still have their shares in the company and will be able to enjoy any profit sharing from those shares in the near future. And then it got worse. There is a mobile game where it's basically like a tactical strategy game Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. So the biggest problem with it is that it uses the raised fist iconography that is synonymous with the Black Lives Matter movement and associates it with a radical underground leftist terrorist organization. I'll let you watch the trailer that has been redacted, and you can sort of decide how it's presented here.
Wars, corruption, and poverty have made it more unstable than ever. As the situation keeps worsening, anger is brewing. From between the cracks, a new threat has emerged to take advantage of escalating civil unrest. They are known as Umbra. A faceless organization that wants to build a new world order. They claim to promote an egalitarian utopia to gain popular support. While behind the scenes, Umbra organizes deadly terrorist attacks to generate even more chaos and weaken governments. At the cost of many innocent lives.
So,
Simultaneously, they have been hacking social media to discredit world leaders and rally people to their cause.
maybe it's a coincidence that this just so happens to 100% mirror conspiracy theories about, maybe I'm editorializing, but I will say conspiracy theories about some of the protests that have been going on and the proliferation of Antifa. Again, not telling you that it exists or doesn't exist. Ubisoft did its typical, oh, we don't make political games, but you know, a reasonable person watching that will be like, you're trying to make Antifa a video game villain. Man, whatever, they can do whatever they want, but certainly that wasn't the best call. So they removed the imagery. Basically they removed the fist from the game that is synonymous with Black Lives Movement, and even before that, the athlete Jesse Owens, who was, you know, protesting at the Olympics. So that's kind of where that iconography comes from, and it's astounding that Ubisoft would kind of play dumb. Ubisoft has a legacy of this, of putting political imagery in their games and then claiming that it's not political at all. Far Cry 5 is about a gun-toting cult in the American Midwest. You know, America's had those before, and it's an interesting and charged issue. And yet again, Ubisoft claims that their games are apolitical. Now, to be fair, in the case of Far Cry 5, it was apolitical. There was actually no commentary about the Second Amendment or civil unrest or really anything, which leads people to be like, come on, Ubi. Like, if you're going to flirt with this imagery and these themes and then run away from it, that's a little cowardly, isn't it? So this is kind of the latest example of a series of things that Ubisoft has done where they appear to profit off of charged political imagery while not actually taking a stand on anything. So those are the issues leading up to where we are now. The workplace treatment and then this specific gaffe. It is a mobile game, but still depicting a group that is ostensibly fighting for civil rights as socially disruptive and a terrorist organization. That's going to ruffle a few feathers, I think, regardless of how you feel about the situation. So, to address these problems, or I think most likely probably to address them in a manner separate from all of their games marketing, which is about to happen in about 15 minutes, Ubisoft put out this message today from their CEO. Again, you can listen to it and decide for yourself how sincere you think it is. Okay, I guess space doesn't play anything.
Hello everyone. In a short while, we will start our second Ubisoft Forward event. We designed it as a time for developers and players to come together to celebrate a shared passion for games. However, before we start, I'd like to say a few words about internal issues that have come to light recently. This summer, we learned that certain Ubisoft employees did not uphold our company's values, and that our systems failed to protect the victims of their behavior. I am truly sorry to everyone who was hurt. We have taken significant steps to remove or sanction those who violated our values and code of conduct, and we are working hard to improve our systems and processes. We are also focused on improving diversity and inclusivity at all levels of the company. For example, we will invest an additional $1 million over the next 5 years in our graduate program. The focus will be on creating opportunities for underrepresented groups, including women and people of color, to join and thrive at Ubisoft. We are at the start of a long journey. Real change will take time, but I am determined to do everything in my power to ensure everyone at Ubisoft feels welcomed, respected, and safe, and to rebuild the trust our teams, fans, and players have in us. Also, around the world, this year continues to be a time of societal unrest. I want to be clear. Ubisoft stands for equality and respect for all. Unfortunately, one of our recent mobile games included content that was inappropriate. This kind of oversight cannot happen. We are putting in place safeguards to prevent it in the future. We condemn anyone using our games as a proxy for hate or toxicity. We fully support the Black Lives Matter movement. And today, we are making an additional donation to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Finally, the COVID pandemic continues to affect lives around the world. I hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe and taking care of each other. We are all in this together. At Ubisoft, a lot of our teams continue to work from home. I'm proud of their dedication and what they have been able to achieve despite these difficult circumstances. To conclude, I'm fully committed to leading the change at Ubisoft and to ensuring we always uphold and exemplify our core values in the company, the industry, the community, and in our games. I've always believed that great games have the power to bring people together and provide an outlet for self-expression and growth. This is essential, now more than ever. With that in mind, I hope you will enjoy some of the amazing games the teams at Ubisoft have been developing for you. Thank you.
Okay. Apologies about the audio interruption. There was a very loud plane flying over my house. Okay, so addressed to some degree. The actionable items there, $1 million over 5 years to a graduate fund, which is $200K a year, which might pay for 1 or 2 people's education per year. So maybe 10 people get a graduate degree over the course of 5 years. That's using American money though, so who knows? It could be, various economies might be different. And it, every little bit helps, I guess. You can decide for yourself how meaningful that action is. A donation of an unspecified amount to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which is a very good cause. I've contributed to it in the past. It's just weird to me that there's no amount on that. And then the promise that they are instituting systems to prevent these situations from happening in the future, without a whole lot of specification about what those systems are. So there you go. And they did the PR thing of kind of addressing it outside of their gang of announcements, because I think they justifiably think that a lot of people don't know or care about any of those things. So why shove it in everyone's face when you're just trying to get people excited about the games they're going to announce, which we're going to talk about now. So that's kind of it. That kind of covers the breadth of it. There's a teensy bit more about how the Gfuel family, how they have kind of instilled their family members at decision-making and leadership places at all of the splinter studios of Ubisoft. So there are people who are kind of decrying the nepotism there. They donated $420,000. Yeah, $420,069. So there are concerns about that haven't really been addressed. The retaliatory actions, some claim, don't go far enough because, again, the person who was let go was allowed to retain their shares, so they'll be living quite okay. And they just don't get to be a rich executive anymore, I guess. Then again, as a private company, they don't necessarily owe, or kind of up to you, I guess, where the boundaries are about what private companies owe the public sector in regards to their decision-making and their adjustments. So time will tell, I guess. Okay, we're done with the meta-narrative. Thank you guys for getting through that like adults. I appreciate you. Let's get on to the video games, which will be starting soon. Ubisoft's still kind of in their cynically, I want to say, they're sort of trying to put diversity out there front and foremost with their speaking hosts. But they're going through some of their other games and stuff like that. Let's see. So we've had some fancy leaks, which I'm sorry if you guys are really excited to pop off at new trailers and stuff, but they did leak Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake on Uplay. Whoopsie whoopsie. But this is great because Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is one of the best games ever made, or at least it was. I'm curious to check it out and see how it's come up to date. But yeah, the 2003 game was extremely renowned back in the day for its use of, what do we call it? Diegesis. We were just kind of diving into these very smart words on the stream the other day, but essentially, they found a way to bake in a lot of the game mechanics into the narrative, which was really cool back in 2003. Not a lot of games were doing this. You got a lot more of this in Assassin's Creed 1, that essentially made the entire game a VR simulation. But Prince of Persia: Sands of Time really experimented with things like fail states and gameplay mechanics, so that when you died, you could rewind if you had enough rewind power. Ostensibly, the entire game was in the framing device of the prince telling you, the player, the story. So when you would die, the prince would go, "Oh, that didn't really happen," and then you like reload a checkpoint, and then you'd play it again. Pretty renowned for its use of those mechanics, also for its storytelling. It actually has a pretty charming kind of fairy tale romance between the prince and the lady who shoots you in the back with all the arrows, whose name I unfortunately can't remember off the top of my head. Elika was the 2008 Prince of Persia, which I also am dearly in love with. But Sands of Time was one of the few games. 2003 was a different time for games, all right? A lot of grim, dark, edgy games came out then. A lot of bald dudes with guns shooting aliens and stuff like that. So Sands of Time was a game that had a lot of heart. 2B, that was it. Faye? That sounds familiar. Farah, there we go. Wait, that's Overwatch. Let's, you know what? We have the tools. Let's go back. Let's see. The Vizier, Sands of Time, Maharaja's Palace, Sands Are Disturbed, Maharaja's Daughter, Farah. It was Farah. Okay. So yeah. And it kicked off a trilogy that has its own little sub-narrative. The Ubisoft, I guess, was disappointed with sales of Prince of Persia, so then they made it edgy and grimdark, which if you guys have been seeing the intro reel, you saw the Godsmack I Stand Alone trailer for Prince of Persia: Warrior Within, that traded an actually pretty well-written female cast member of Prince of Persia, which games did not have well-written females at the time, and replaced it with a large-breasted, eyeshadowed, big-boobed, metal bikini-wearing lady. It was just a weird time. The prince got much edgier. There was Godsmack. So no, that game sold better, which is unfortunate. And then Ubi kind of made good with Two Thrones by somehow injecting both sort of characteristics into a single game, which was actually pretty cool. It kind of played with the meta-narrative of games again. There's more Godsmack than you think. There's always more Godsmack than you think. So that's kind of the leak that we have going into this, is that there will be a Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. It'll be exciting to see how that shapes up. Some of the screenshots looked a little interesting, like making the prince look pretty cool. Making him look a little more realistic. The original had a pretty stylized look because that's all you could do at the time. So, is down any bets on what they open with? Yeah, Just Dance 2021. They did show Just Dance 2021 in the preview reel already. So, we need more big, shooty, straight white dudes who swear a lot. I love those games, so I don't necessarily disagree. It's more, I think, an issue of saturation and variety. So, 1 second while I test something out. Haha, it does work. Okay, let me frame this up properly then. This is what I was going to use to help our esteemed sponsor Gfuel. Which, by the way, thank you Gfuel for sponsoring this event. If there's one thing I do love, it's talking about video games. So I deeply appreciate the opportunity to do that.
In the latest episode of Wow Moments.
Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. Can he do it? Do I have the skill and the power? I apologize for doing this live, but hey, that's the speed of the internet. Well, that's interesting. This isn't a 16:9 overlay. Well, this is probably just for my webcam, huh? All right, well, let's do that. Let's do that.
What?
That's easy. It's okay, we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. So I don't know, are there anything you guys are excited to see? Personally, when it comes to like, when it comes to games, my hopes are a little too high. I would love to see Beyond Good and Evil 2, but I'm not holding my breath on that one because I would pass out. I would like to see, I mean, Prince of Persia is coming back, so that's kind of weird and certainly not something I expected, to be honest. Man, you're not YouTubing unless you're screaming at cards, just shrieking. It's not YouTube content until you are bellowing in your room at the random outcome of a card game.
He's fine. Just don't look at him. Don't look at him. He's fine. See? He's not even there. Figment of your imagination.
You know what? That's okay. I'll leave the professionalism to another day. That's a pretty funky little tune, though. That wasn't right at all. You guys want wide, Lawrence? I know you do. Now let's do this. Absolutely wide, Lawrence. Here. This is a... There we go.
That was so cool.
And thank you to everyone who
No, don't you dare scale properly.
You want to share with us?
How dare you? I'm offended.
Ubisoft.com.
Hold on a
Might
second.
even be featured in the next episode of Wow Moment.
How about this? Every time they announce a cool game, I'll get wider and wider.
Ubisoft Forward pre-show. Up next, the main show
Brrr.
new announcements and a
Oh.
don't want to miss.
Whoa.
Faces on, guns out. It's about to get real.
Bye, Gfuel, everybody. Oh, it's like kind of wavy. You can never be too wide with Gfuel. 42 seconds, you guys. Woo! Right. Now the real magic happens. Does this look good? Chad, I need you to let me know if this looks good. I can't see it. Is it fine? It's fine.
This is Ubisoft Forward. Explore our worlds.
Meet the devs.
See the games.
Join us.
Welcome back to Ubisoft Forward. I'm Yusuf.
I'm Neela. Today's show will reveal new games, give behind-the-scenes insights from our development teams, and share some exciting updates on projects you've been waiting for.
Let's get started with a game you've been waiting to hear more about since it was teased last year. The gods of ancient Greece need a hero, and it's time to answer the call.
Oh yeah, this is Gods and Monsters, right? I think they're rebranding this. That's what I remember reading.
As the world crumbles, our divine powers sealed away. Even the gods need a hero.
I don't typically associate James Brown with Grecian pantheon, but hey, whatever. This song is great though. Yep, it's not a trailer in 2020 without a big horn hit. Wow. Phoenix Rising. Okay, this year, that's good.
My name is Scott Phillips, and I'm the game director on Immortals Phoenix Rising.
I was thinking it'd be like a Dauntless kind of game, but that
Sure you
maybe more
noticed a lot
implies
of
it's
new
a
things since we first
open
teased
world
the
action
game,
RPG.
including a new name.
Again, another open world action RPG. It's kind of like
Extra production time has allowed us
Assassin's
to
Creed
expand our
Muppet
vision
Babies.
and explore new opportunities beyond our initial plan. We felt the name Immortals Phoenix Rising better reflected this new experience.
yeah, it's
Today,
one of them's.
we're incredibly excited to give you the first in-depth look at our world, hero, and gameplay.
I think they thought Assassin's Creed, like Assassin's Creed's usually rated M, right? Or is it teen? Did they really think that there was a
Immortals
younger
Phoenix
market that they
Rising
weren't
is
reaching?
A
that they
third-person,
see?
open-world action-adventure game set in the fantastical landscape of Greek mythology.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly, yeah, it's rated M, right?
Play as
So
Phoenix, a Greek warrior shipwrecked on the mysterious Golden Isle.
Ubisoft was like, there's a whole range of babies that aren't playing Assassin's
The
Creed.
two remaining gods of Olympus. Hermes has heard of a prophecy that only you can save the Greek gods.
It looks super
and
cute.
reclaim their realm from Typhon,
Zelda Grease of the Wild.
deadliest Titan in mythology. This entire epic story will be narrated by the Titan Prometheus and Zeus, the king of the gods.
Ah,
Adding a
Zeus.
unique commentary and perspective to this.
Sure, it'll be
legendary
accurate to Zeus. I can't
Before
wait
embarking
for
on this perilous journey,
all
you'll
the
get
times
to
when
create
Zeus tries to have
your
sex
own
with
Phoenix.
everything. Hey, is that a rock? Can I have sex with it?
And as you progress,
He accidentally
you'll
makes
find
another
even more
demigod somehow.
opportunities to customize
Damn
your
it,
character
Zeus.
by discovering legendary weapons, unique pieces of gear and cosmetics, and earning the gods' blessings and mythical abilities that can turn the tide of battle.
Zeus has had sex with everything you see here. Everything.
You'll
Alive,
need all the
dead.
help you can get to save the
all of
gods and defeat Typhon once and for all. On your journey to save the gods, you'll grow stronger and achieve new, incredible things, like gliding with the wings of Daedalus, to jump higher, fight while airborne, and glide freely in the open world. Facing off against dangerous mythical beasts like the giant cyclopses, flying harpies, and huge multi-armed hecatoncheires.
Hecatoncheires?
harnessing the power of the gods to master a tactical and fast-paced, over-the-top combat system, and solving puzzles and challenges scattered throughout the world to help improve your powers.
This looks fine. It's just
You'll also get to explore an
the cynic in me is like, Yubi,
vibrant
did you
and
really
stylized open
really
world
feel that there was an
filled with
entire
secrets,
demo out there that
puzzles, and
hasn't been
stories
playing Assassin's?
rooted
Yeah, I mean the
in
answer is
Greek
yes.
mythology.
Unironically, yes, but
Once a peaceful home to the gods of Olympus, the Golden Isle is now overrun by creatures of the underworld.
as somebody
stand a
who's like
chance against
50
Typhon
hours
and
into
his
Assassin's
minions,
Creed
you'll
Odyssey,
need to
and I'm like,
explore
I don't
the
want to finish this
mysterious
game.
land and become a
Sing
mythical
another
hero
Assassin's Creed
yourself.
Odyssey that's for kids. It's just like, ugh.
The world is
All right,
divided
another
into
one.
multiple regions,
That's
all
me,
ruled
though.
by a
That's
different
me.
God in need of your help.
I'm not a kid that tried to
From
convince
the
my mom
lush
to buy me
landscapes
Assassin's
of
Creed, and she
Aphrodite's
said, no, it's
Plains
rated M.
to the mechanical
That's who this
world
is for.
of Hephaestus' Forge. Each region is packed with challenging battles, ancient puzzles, and secrets to uncover. You'll have the freedom to explore this entire open world.
Yeah,
as you
Tezius, that's a
wish,
good point. It's
right
not
from the beginning of your
Odyssey
journey.
is not so fantastic. It's not literally about
Finally,
gods and
stay with us for the post-show,
Medusae and
where you'll
stuff
get a
like
look
that.
at new gameplay.
So it's got a different flavor for
I
sure.
hope you enjoyed what you saw today. We can't wait for you to play Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
Calling it Assassin's
There's a
Creed
lot
Baby
more to show
Odyssey
before
is
launch, so
unfair.
keep an eye out for further updates.
But that's
See you
kind of
all
what
on
it
December
is.
3rd.
That's kind
I'm
of what it is.
so excited to play this game.
Stadia!
It's a world I just can't wait to explore.
Yay!
I'm Phil Harrison. We're looking
Everyone
forward
was
to Immortals
waiting for
Phoenix
more
Rising
Stadia
coming
news.
to Stadia on December 3rd.
Oh.
We're also excited to announce that all Stadia players will get a chance to try Immortals Phoenix Rising with a free playable demo before launch that is exclusive to
demo you
Stadia.
don't have to pay
all
for?
you need is a Gmail account. With just a single click, you'll be able to add the demo
That's
to your
kinda neat.
Stadia
That's
library.
kinda neat.
Instantly join Phoenix on her quest to save the Greek
Yeah,
gods.
who doesn't have a Gmail?
Created specifically for this Stadia demo,
But
Ubisoft have developed an entire.
I'm gonna guess you have to link your Gmail account to some Ubisoft thing to play it, which means they get marketing access to all of
Immortals Phoenix
That's me being cynical again.
Will be playable later this year in all regions where Stadia
Yeah,
is
I'm
accessible.
live.co.uk.
Thank you to Yves Guillemot and the entire Ubisoft Quebec studio for your partnership
my
in
Yahoo.
bringing amazing experiences to Stadia.
My Yahoo email's still
The
there.
use of Zeus and Prometheus as the narrators in Immortals Phoenix Rising led to a unique style of storytelling.
Here's Michelle Plord to tell us more.
Did it?
My name is Michelle Plord. I'm lead cinematic designer on Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, that white shot was a little weird, right?
I think the number
Why did they
one
roll a
thing that I
backdrop
love
into
about
an
my
active
job is
office?
The sense of pride that I
guess
get
no one's
for
working there
delivering
right
a
now.
scene. Our job is consistent with someone who is actually directing. We get to direct where we're shooting, what lens we're using, what's happening in the scene. Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Is that a hecatonkery?
A very narrative-driven game.
Honky tonky?
But it's also very lighthearted and stylized and very comedic. And I feel like that's where we get to shine as cinematic designers.
I can see a lot of value in that, though, of like a kid
One of
playing
the
a game
best
and then
example I
maybe
have
they
actually for this is
wiki
Zeus and Prometheus are bickering.
the Medusa. They
because
they
Zeus
wiki,
is
you
very,
know,
very much
Prometheus,
worried
and then
about
start
the
reading about
Prometheus story.
actual
So he decides to spawn
Grecian
some
lore.
monsters.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then they just kind of appear in the world. And then the character sees, so we just kind of crouch zooms on them because we were trying to hit comedic timing. So there's little moments, the kind of like lightheartedness and part of the game that we really like to showcase.
There you go,
Ubisoft
Billy.
really likes to tell
You slap that belly.
stories. And I think that's how you get the players to really be engrossed within a world.
Make them tiny.
We want to make them feel something. Even if it's just a laugh or a chuckle, I think we did our job.
I'm chuckling.
Keep an
I
eye
had a
out
few
for further
sensible
updates
chuckles.
on Immortals Phoenix Rising before it launches this December 3rd.
Now,
At least we know what's coming out this holiday finally.
dear friend.
It's November, December, like empty.
Most people think time is like a river.
They got the same voice actor back.
It flows swift and sure in one direction.
Yuri Lowenthal.
I have seen the face of time. And I can tell you, they are wrong.
Cool. I'm excited for this.
Inside the hourglass.
If for no other reason to see if the game measures up to my memory of it.
Only the dagger can unlock the sands of time.
Also, I thought they already did a Sands of Time HD. Robin Atkin Dow's was the sequel. So there are two people who voiced the prince.
Turn to sand.
Ironically, Yuri Lowenthal voiced the prince in 1 and was more British. Yuri Lowenthal, or sorry, Robin Atkin Dowles voiced him in Warrior Thin and was more English, even though he's British. And then they were both in Two Thrones, voicing their respective princes. Oh, that music though. I'm getting chills. This is cool. Sands of Time was just like a good, fun summer movie with some heart, you know? That's what I remember it being. Yeah, I mean, The Mummy is kind of... the 99 Mummy. Kind of similar vibes there.
Don't let go.
Looking at these logos.
My name is Anu Kaul. I'm working in an Ubisoft from past 13 years.
Anu is the senior producer of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake.
For me, it's a big dream. It's not a project, it's a dream that is coming true.
It's wild to think
Prince
that...
of Persia, you know, people love this game. It has put a mark in everyone's heart. And now what we are going to do is we are going to bring it back. Because still people have that nostalgic feeling. People want to play that game.
The idea that people could have grown up playing this, and now they're adult professionals and can work on a remake or a new game.
We can show everyone, you know.
That's super exciting.
It's something which comes directly from our heart. So, you know, the main game which was made back then, the main essence is there. All the characters are there. You have your prince, who's very iconic, who was in this game. You have the princess, Farah. And let's not, you have a Wazir, who is the main villain in this game with all the sand creatures, you know. It just, we have give it a bit more flavorness, bit more enhancement. The voice which we are using for the prince is Yuri, the same voice which was back then. You know, it just put goosebumps on our hands also when we heard him, because you know, it's something which brings back to us that nostalgic feeling.
How did you...
I'm getting a little misty. This is very sweet.
It's like a river that flows swift and sure in one direction.
There was...
17
I had a
years
friend...
later, but, you know, the main good thing is his voice hasn't changed at all. I don't know how he do it, but it's the same.
He's a professional, eh?
Being able to work on the Prince of Persia is a huge honor because I think it's a beloved game.
I had a friend in college who had great taste and made really amazing art. She did a fan art piece
everything in the game,
for Prince of Persia, and
combat, as well as the visual.
I got to be there when she gave her fan art to Yuri Lowenthal at an anime convention.
Actually enhanced the velocity of the prince
this was
and
in
his
like,
abilities to do amazing performance
2006
and
or
amazing
so?
moves.
It was
We use the latest technology,
really cool
as well
moment.
as the motion
I used to have that
capture
framed.
to bring realism and
I
to
think I
bring
still got it
logic and
somewhere.
sense into the story.
I wonder if
we
I can go
heard
find
the
that.
players' desire to
I'd have to dig
play
through some
Prince
boxes,
of
I think.
Persia: Sands of Time again, and we are very pleased to bring it as the first ever remake from Ubisoft.
You would have been doing Shippuden stuff or something back then? Shippuden didn't exist then.
It's a
that was
beautiful
2006.
story. We are very, very excited to give you this experience.
Pretty sure Shippuden didn't exist in 2006.
Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake releases.
It's not worth arguing about Naruto.
On PS4.
Actually, I take it back.
Xbox
It's
One,
always worth
and
arguing
PC.
about Naruto.
It's time to head over to the virtual city of Neo Arcadia, where an intense and fast-paced battle rages on.
Yeah, maybe just OG Naruto. I think, yeah, that was a few years after Naruto. It would have been in the dub cycle by then.
Money.
I've never felt like that in a VR game before.
No next gen. I think it's presumed next gen for a remake like that. Like that's a, you know, digital release kind of thing. It's not a big AAA. There's that streamer howl. Let's go. I mean, those are some good shots. Those are some howl-worthy shots, I'll say. Oh no, I'm covering up the webcam. Streamer on streamer. I picked middle left because very few people use that, and very few games put UI there. No, I guess a lot of people do. Hey, Flying Fry. Welcome. Pretend you're playing. Woo! Woo! Alright, I don't want to blow out my mic too much.
Oh, man, that was so hectic.
It's us. That's us. That's us.
You're supposed to like slap your headphone down and start running around in the background and kicking tables over and stuff. That's how, yeah, get a Ric Flair soundboard.
One big focus for the Hyperscape dev team is to regularly add gameplay content and features, keeping the game new and fresh week after week.
Yeah, it's just pouring Gfuel over something. Sometimes, like, it's getting strange now. How there's like these big conferences about all these new games, but it's sometimes in the publisher's monetary and promotional interest to just dedicate screen time to their service games, even when they don't necessarily have a lot to announce. So, hooray! Turbo mode for Hyperscape, like...
This next one is for the fans.
Was it just Fortnite? No, I mean, it doesn't have building, and it's patterned more after 90s arena shooters, so it's faster, there's a lot more jumping up and down, more accurate weaponry, faster movement, that's the idea.
It's a heartbeat, a pulse, a distant vibration. It's a surge, a rush, the raw of a nation. It's nothing you could have predicted, but everything you believed in. It's nothing you expected, but everything you have achieved. It's nothing you could have trained for, yet everything you would have wanted.
They don't have the FIFA license. Are they just making like a...
Yet everything you always needed.
Oh, okay, alright.
It's everything you achieved, everything you cared about.
FIFA Street 3, yeah.
Everything you
that was also EA.
Everything you cheered.
Oh, yeah, Pro Evolution Soccer, there we go.
Every strategy play.
Maybe they bought it from
every inch you gained.
Konami.
It's more than gaming. It's more than just support. It's sharing.
Sitting in the center here, coastline in open area.
Are they announcing an esport league for...
So quick from the defense.
Okay, I guess this is just a Siege shout out. And then the imagery, you know, they're trying to link it to football, obviously.
Share every emotion, share every struggle, share every success.
This just seems like brand building, trying to increase the legitimacy and validity of Siege esports.
Your people, your country, share the unforgettable.
Yeah, it even has the... Okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool.
François-Xavier Daniel, eSport
using World Cup branding too.
Today we are proud to have more than 60 million players Rainbow Six Siege.
Good for Ubi though.
And we
like,
can say that we are top tier.
It's increasingly seen more and more that the publisher of an esport game also is responsible for creating and maintaining a league for that game.
Professional
so
system with organization
that's awesome.
And regional model.
That's great for the Siege
Rainbow
community.
Six World Cup is a new layer of competition of our esports ecosystem.
That could have been more Siege focused.
We have a country-based competition.
They're leaning into the World Cup branding. They're just, you know, they're calling it the World Cup, the world's most popular sporting event.
More than 45 countries will participate to the qualifier.
What was the point of that? To announce the World Cup, and obviously to draw heavy similarities to the FIFA World Cup.
We introduce Tony Parker, our ambassador for the Rainbow Six World Cup. Very proud to be with Tony Parker today. So you will be the ambassador of our first Rainbow Six World Cup.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
The rumor. It's the rumor in the streets.
So you are part of all the process of thinking about the World Cup. You will meet the players.
You don't advertise a video game based on an event with a video game?
I'm very happy, very excited about the opportunity to be an ambassador of the Rainbow
yeah, exactly.
Six,
the farmer. Move over, FIFA. There's a new World Cup in town.
For choosing me. I'm excited to meet all the players and explain to them.
Country against country is a good way to drive people to watch. I agree.
Play for your country. It's very different than team playing. You know,
the Overwatch Cup leaned into that too. Counter-Strike occasionally does.
And you know, it's a great honor.
These guys, they play for organizations. They don't play for their country yet. For them, it will be something completely different. It will be the first time they will not play with their teammates.
I find it fascinating how different games appeal culturally to different cultures across the planet, and thus cultivate like different pockets of hyper skill.
There's all the pressure around it, you know, because when you play,
which is to say, South Korea just keeps winning everything,
and it's going to be a whole new competition. But I'm sure.
Yeah, Overwatch has a World Cup too. I was thinking about that. Did they call it the World Cup? They do.
And I think in the global scale for Ubisoft and Rainbow Six to take that challenge to do a World Cup, I think it can be big, you know, for the future.
You get the gold breach tool. I guess that's probably a better pick than an actual gun.
Part of it.
What else would it be? Like what else could the trophy look like?
Tony Parker just adds to the excitement for this massive event. Keep your eyes on all the Rainbow Six Siege social accounts for more updates.
We're not done just yet with Rainbow. A new season is starting tonight. So let's see what the team has planned.
The Overwatch World Cup finals are at BlizzCon, but you know, the league happens.
Creative director on Rainbow Six Siege. The Rainbow Six World Cup is going to be exciting and bringing the best players from countries all over the world in summer 2021. But for now, let's focus on what is happening in the game.
The focus on Brazil was interesting.
A couple of years ago,
I know that,
we made the commitment to
Counter-Strike
for at least 10 years.
has a pretty good cultural hook in
we
Brazil.
are already close to the halfway point.
So I can only
of
assume
this symbolic
Siege is pretty
milestone.
popular there too.
We are not only maintaining this commitment, but we are doubling down by investing more than ever to make the game grow and evolve. This season will be Siege's biggest one to date. And we're excited to bring a familiar face to the Rainbow Six operator roster permanently. Sam Fisher, our call sign Zero in Siege, is bringing his combat experience and training into the game. We are a huge fan of Sam, and we want to
That's what he looks like now?
how he fits within our universe.
That doesn't look anything like Sam Fisher from... I mean, he's undergone many visual lifts.
How's that stuff work on arthritis?
Bizarrely gotten younger and younger as time goes.
Should help.
Is he not going to talk because they
But
couldn't
you'll
get
pay for
Michael
it
Ironside?
Well, that sounds fair to me.
Harry says you're here to whip us into shape. That true?
Let's find out.
Okay. Grizzly video game man. That's okay. Michael Ironside was getting a little loose. Getting a little loose with his VO. That was cool. Oh, that's neat. You can shoot the little Splinter Cell eyeballs through the wall. Does this imply there's going to be like takedowns and CQC stuff going on? There may already be that may already be in the game. I apologize. I'm not super up to date on Siege, so.
Oryx! Winter Seed Rep, damn it!
There's a lot of Sam like just straight up wrecking fools hand to hand. Yeah, I didn't think so.
How did the first lesson go?
That's too much work.
You might want to call a medic.
R&D has set up the facilities you requested. Same time tomorrow?
That's the deal.
Splendid. Anything else I can do for you, Sam?
Yeah. Call me Zero.
Rebrand me.
The new season is live right now, and we're excited to get your feedback on Zero and the rest of features coming out.
Cool.
Before I go, we also wanted to share some more good news for our players. As you know, this year is special, since the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are coming out. Today, we want to announce that we are going to bring you the best Siege experience on console in 2020, with up to 4K and 120 FPS by the end of the year. And
Sick.
best of all,
On
current
PS5?
console players will all get this update for free once they upgrade to the next-gen platform of the same family.
All right.
As we said, we're in this for the long run, and we have plans for years to come.
I don't know if they said anything about PS5 doing 120 FPS yet.
Now it's time for a sneak peek at another fan favorite.
I'm
making
sure it
its return.
can. They just haven't said it yet. Sneak peek. World premiere. Oh, it's Pixels. What could be 10 years old? Scott Pilgrim? Yeah! Cool! Oh, that Anamanaguchi, baby. You can hear it from a mile away. Yeah, wide wit. With or without the same sound? I mean, it's with. This is the soundtrack. I guess they finally relicensed it or something. Complete edition. What the heck does that mean? Yeah, the comics are fun. The ending's a little rough. Switch, Stadia. All
It's
right.
time to check in on the dystopian police state of future London.
Music is a huge cultural touchstone, and when you're working on a game that's set in a real place, it's something that you have to focus really hard on to make sure you get it right.
Yeah.
When we
Every
asked
comics ending is
Londoners
rough.
who was
Good
an
point.
artist who would really reflect and underscore the themes
Watchmen,
of Watch Dogs Legion.
well, even Transmet had a
speaking
weird
up for
ending.
the
I'm trying to think
oppressed
of like
and holding those in power
really good
accountable. There
endings.
was one name that came up over and over again. This guy went from, freestyling in the London underground music scene to headlining at
Did they ever finish
Glastonbury
Saga?
in less than 5 years. He's had massive critical and commercial success. He's been on the cover
Have
of
they
Time magazine.
said anything about
He's
Rainbow Six
won
Quarantine?
dozens
No,
of
not
awards. And he really has used
Saga's
his
not
voice
done
to
yet.
speak up and fight for.
I got tired of
social
waiting,
and
so I just sort of
political change.
stopped following it. I figured I'd check back in a decade when it's done. It's not done. All right.
Watch Dogs Legion. You lot are about to have your minds blown. What they have done in terms of recreating London is the most insane, epic, incredible thing I've ever seen. So I'm honored to be a part of it. You guys are about to get an exclusive sneak peek of some behind the scenes footage and also of my brand new music video, Rainfall, which is going to be a part of the game. So.
Me and my manager got a wicked relationship with. The excitement he phoned me with.
Oh, he's doing performance
I
capture?
hadn't heard since I got booked for Glasgow. So I was like, yo, bro, there's this game.
I'm getting.
Ow.
Put my shades on, hoodie up and send a prayer up to Trayvon. They're trying to figure how it put his name on, and how it did it with no chains on. I give you the keys to no stress. First you give God the praise.
This is another one of them, like, okay, Ubisoft, you're using political imagery in an apolitical game.
Fool of my enemies, fool of my enemies. Let the rain fool of my enemies. Let it fool of my enemies. Yo.
Yeah, not a political game. Brexit? What's that? I don't know. We're just making a video game. Eh?
Oh, London. Our beautiful city has been through the ringer. Now it's fallen into the hands of criminal organisations vying to control whatever's left.
Reminded of the Paul McCartney music video for Destiny, yeah.
Lucky for us, our underground hacker...
That was quite a bit better than Paul McCartney's track.
Resistance.
God, how much money did he make for that?
But where do we start? Look around. Hipsters, punks, football fans, construction workers, paramedics, annoying tourists, grandparents. What do they all have in common? Any one of them could become your next playable hero and help you save the city. Let's do some recruiting, shall we? Well, this one looks promising. Let's hack into his profile. Ah, Dan, a getaway driver. He has a completely custom vehicle to make for a fast exit. And, an anti-chase ability, making him immune to those pesky chase drones. He can also hack vehicles to clear the way. That'll come in handy in hot pursuit. Well, let's see him in action.
Or how about Eleanor? A hacker could always be useful. Thanks to her viral hacking skill, her hacks propagate, affecting everything in the surrounding area. She also can electrify enemies with her shock hack and can steal access keys without needing to enter an enemy location.
This just feels weird. After like the tone that Watch Dogs established itself as, to then be like, oh, it's wacky and all these people have all these perks. It's like super video gamey and goofy.
Her paintball gun gives
But I guess
her a
that's
non-lethal way to
Ubisoft's
take
trend
out enemies.
lately.
And she has paintballs.
Like you compare Assassin's Creed 1 to Odyssey, tonally they're miles apart. So
Not bad, eh? So how do you convince the people of London to join your team? Talk to them and find out what it takes to prove that your
didn't Watch
cause is
Dogs
worth
flop? A little bit, yeah. I don't think it sold nearly as well as they wanted. Ubisoft knows what they're doing. They know that games only make money when you're on the third one.
After you help them,
which I guess would be this
your
one.
ranks and become the stars of your story.
Watch Dogs sold well for a new IP.
As you explore London, keep a
but,
lookout.
you know,
some of the most legendary recruits are not someone you just run into every day. Like this robotic beekeeper, Shelby. She can wreak havoc using her bee swarm. She also has a unique weapon.
She has cyber bees?
Her suit gives her shock immunity, so she can take more damage from certain attacks.
She has cyber bees. Watch Dogs. Watchdog bees.
You can recruit the old bloody city if you want. Doesn't mean you should. Henry here's got low mobility, so he's not really fit for a mission that requires you to be nimble. And Mark, he's a hitman. Seems like the perfect recruit. But if you're approaching a stealth mission, maybe you should keep an eye out for another hitman whose attributes don't include hiccups. No matter who you recruit, you can specialize each individual to complement your playstyle by choosing one of the many unlockable.
That could be fun based on how they actually enforce those consequences. Like if Henry actually does bust ass and break his legs, that'd be fun. Like it'd be like, well, shit. That would lead to like some actually fun stories and kind of emergent gameplay sessions. Of like, oh, I did this cool, I did this cool infiltration, everything was fine, and then my man hiccuped and set off all the alarms.
Or go with weirdos and grannies.
That could either be very frustrating or very funny.
So get out in the street.
A little bit like Void Bastards, yeah, Mecha. Yeah. Literally, there's a character that hiccups a lot, and it will alert enemies to where they are, so... And Void Bastards also had that kind of, like, fatalistic British humor.
Hello everyone, my name is Latish Sreenathan. I am the live producer on Watch Dogs Legion. On behalf of the entire dev team, I want to send a huge thank you to all the fans for the love and support.
Watch Dogs 3 speedrun, B%.
And today,
busted hit percent.
That an old friend is coming back.
Fight back.
Is it Aiden Pierce?
Hard to do.
Aiden Pierce!
Maybe I'm just what the city needs.
Aiden is kind of a shithead, though.
Ready for me?
He's kind of a prick. Like, you're not supposed to play Watch Dogs and like Aiden Pierce by the end of it.
Older, but not necessarily wiser. Aiden Pierce will be a fully playable character
in Watch
Dogs Legion as part of our post-launch.
He does look cool.
Found them! Take them out!
And that's not all.
Yeah, who asked?
We're gonna open up a whole new chapter.
I like Aiden as a character, but he's not a protagonist. He's not a good guy.
Stay tuned and welcome to the Resistance.
Yeah, the people demand
Everyone has a good
T-Bone.
reason to join the Resistance in Watch Dogs Legion.
I don't know where
The fight
Phil
for
Jasicki
freedom
is right
begins
now.
on October 29th.
The world's #1 premier T-Bone
Ubisoft
fan.
Forward will be back in the upcoming months with more of everything you want to know about our developing games. But before we go, here's one more thing.
Oh, we're already at one more thing territory. Okay. It's got to be Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's probably not. Oh, like Trials World. Okay. Combining all extreme sports. It does kind of look like the color schemes they've been using for the more recent Trials games, so. yeah, they're pirate games. Skull and Bones. No Skull and Bones. Riders of... Okay. Alright. Is it another service game?
My name is Charlotte. I work in Ubisoft Annecy, and I'm a senior community developer. Today, I'm very excited to announce our new IP, Riders Republic.
So,
Riders
I appreciate them putting women and people of color in speaking roles, but if you notice, their titles are not
outdoors,
always
together with your friends and the community. Our studio
like they're not
is known for its expertise on many
directors,
multiplayer
they're not
games.
producers. Some of them were,
There's a huge word to explore, so I'm very excited.
but
Riders Republic for me.
Yeah, and then to the
just killing it.
senior game
on
designer.
dream terrain
Okay.
with the sickest
They
extreme
keep doing this thing
and
where
doing it with
they'll
other people.
put in somebody and be like,
Riders Republic,
we'll have them talk,
you
but
enter
it's always like
into this world
motion
with all
capture
these
artists,
people around
and
you,
then to the senior
which gives
designer
you a
or the
ton
lead
of
producer.
possibilities to group up with them, to challenge them, to experiment with different extreme sports on different types
They're
of
trying,
terrain.
yeah.
You have
I would like to
forests, you have
see
snow,
those people with the
you have
titles
sand,
to match.
You have mountains, you have cliffs.
But that's-
it's amazing when you see all these people just flying around you,
we get there,
jumping
bits
off
and
of
pieces.
jumps, jumping through gates. It's just it's one of those visions that you're like, oh my god, this game's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, Skull and Bones isn't dead.
This
We'll see more of
game
it
is
next
that
year.
Next
Okay.
gen social interaction game with a huge world and a lot of possibilities. It's literally an extreme sports fantasy land.
That's a cool idea.
Our objective was to really depict natural places, and we wanted to go
Creative
for
director.
The biggest, the most impressive natural places in the world. So we decided to go to the US national parks. What we did is actually stitching together 7 regions in a way that feels natural. But for each of them, we actually used GPS data so that everything you see stand there for real.
I also wonder,
And
like,
I think it's going to be a great experience. Our
Game-
philosophy was to
games
be
that
able to
include,
welcome
like,
different
multiple
players,
kinds of
let them
locomotion
enjoy the game the way they want, choose their setting,
can
choose
be a
their
little
sport,
weird.
and let them go where they want to go.
But
We're very excited to be
Ubisoft
able
has
to
made all these
reveal it
games
to the
independently.
world. So now I've got one more thing for you to check out. Enjoy.
Yeah, none of these were talking about Series X or PS5.
Right, they just dropped the trailer. My moment of glory awaits.
Oh boy, how smarmy is
Damn
this
it,
game
how do you
gonna
work
be?
this piece of junk?
They did mention it with Rainbow Six Siege, but that's the only one so far.
Welcome to Riders
And
Republic
you have to
Adrenaline
assume that
Junkies.
Phoenix
There are no
Rising is going to be
rules
on,
here. But what's a republic
and Prince of Persia Remake will
without
be
a
on
constitution,
next
am I
gen.
right?
Yeah.
Here's a few truths about how we lay it down. We, the Riders, welcome all thrill seekers to the Republic. Proponents of madness, get ready for radness. We, the Riders, salute the rationality of irrationality. We, the Riders, say that friends who
How is that going to be gameplay, though?
stay together.
Biking across a beam?
Go crazy, baby.
Just like 10 minutes of keeping a balance meter in the middle? They did show Prince of
If
Persia,
you
yeah.
ride, the Republic will
Remake
abide.
of Sands of Time. That man has a jetpack.
Or go home.
Alright.
We, the Riders, insist that you do you always. Outrace, out-trick, outperform. And gain some cred by sharing the magic with the rest of the Republic.
So they still haven't really like nailed down what the gameplay loop is.
Best gear.
What you do a run and it's like a high scoreboard?
Boards.
Or maybe it's like you dynamic matchmake with other people in the environment, so it's like 50 other people are like snowboarding the same time as you, so you can
Road, freestyle,
see people in their customized gear, microtransaction out to heck, customized smoke trails and bunny suits.
We,
Okay.
the Riders, assure epic events to build
Oh,
your
they got X Games branding? Alright.
It's time to make some history. Sign with hot sponsors and qualify for big-time competitions. They can
So is there like a campaign?
We never stop doing things for the first time.
Red Bull Rampage, the harshest and most unforgiving canvas for big mountain free riders.
I'm not allowed to talk about Red Bull here, yeah.
That was out of the trick bag.
Gfuel, please don't cut the stream. Please.
Oh, snap!
With alarms going off at Gfuel HQ. Wee wee.
I can't even begin to express how technical that was.
Jonathan G. Fuel, CEO, pounding his fist on the table. What the hell is this?
The gnarliest jump I've ever seen in one row.
Whatever. He could have done 3 flips if he was on G Fuel.
We, the riders, invite you to leave the roads and take the trails. Explore the land, climb the peaks, roam the natural world. After all, it's bad manners to keep the mountains waiting.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like gonna dynamic matchmake you into these environments with tons of other players. That's a cool idea, really. There's been some multiplayer extreme sports games lately, and it is fun to see people like zooming around you and just biffing it and wiping out all over the place. That really doesn't ever get old. So I'm starting to understand, I think, the vision of this game. It's just like a non-stop derp simulator, kind of like Grand Theft Auto Online. Has a lot of vibes of that too.
We, the riders, guarantee a ton of insane contests all the time.
It's not the only crash you're gonna
Trick
have.
battles to grind your way.
You know, you don't get crash G Fuel though. Clean energy. Yeah, baby. They're sponsoring me, obviously. So good. It's like I got it. Oh, that's neat. Wow, it's been a long time since I've seen a mode like that. Oh, there was there was a game like that had that exact thing. Where you trick off something and change it to your color. Was it a Tony Hawk? Yeah, Tony Hawk had that for sure. That was pretty fun. I actually like that. And it was like you had to set a high score on that thing. So like you did a trick off of a ramp or whatever, and your high score would lock to that ramp, and then somebody had to beat it to yeah, graffiti mode. That was it. Thank you. That mode really worked. That could be really fun. Here's the thing.
Because we are the Republic.
How are they gonna do collisions? If there's 50 players zapping all around the place, and there's latency to the server,
for more updates
a character's gonna be here, like doing the thing, and then they'll just knock into you, and ruin your combo or whatever.
Today,
unless there's no collision, which is not as fun.
At Immortals Phoenix Rising, caught a glimpse of
Ghost mode?
Persia,
Yeah, maybe.
Sands of Time Remake. Got to fight off 7 evil X's in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, and witness the big reveal of Riders Republic, along with so much
Probably
more.
no player collision. Yeah, that's not fun though.
You can expect more.
I want to see players zoom around me and then cram into each other, and then form a ball of players that I have to like
featuring a walkthrough
steer
of
around.
Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and a Roller Champions show match.
I would like to see more Phoenix Rising. It's weird they didn't show Far Cry.
Hello everybody and welcome
they're
to
giving it an off
Ubisoft
year, I think.
Forward post show.
All right.
I'm Mimi, community developer on Immortals.
Just take an edge off the audio here.
We know you've got a lot of
Interesting.
questions for us, so reach out on social channels and I'm gonna tell you about it in a
Maybe not quite as many bombshells as people were hoping for. I think that's always how it goes these days. Is when companies put together their own conferences, everyone sort of expects these huge bombshell announcements, and they just aren't there. A perfectly fine show. A pretty good update. Here's the thing. Remember last time Ubisoft was a little too aggressive marketing next-gen games? Remember that? Let's all remember what happened last time Ubisoft leaned too hard into next-gen.
Immortals Phoenix Rising. Today, I'm incredibly excited to show you a sneak peek
Because,
of a unique game.
Yowza?
Immortals Phoenix Rising is an
yeah.
open-world action-adventure
E3
game
2013.
stylized
Remember?
look and feel,
Remember this?
inspired by Greek
It was cool. Boy, did it light people up. But I think Ubi kind of learned their lesson about maybe being a little too forward-looking.
According to prophecy, Phoenix is the only one who can
I guess Unity was also their kind of like next-gen project. Which also Unity pissed people off because it had severe performance problems, despite being incredibly technologically progressive.
Today we join her as she arrives in Hephaestus.
Ubisoft usually leans into next-gen pretty hard. In the past they have. Ubisoft had games on Wii U. Remember that? They usually try to support new systems out the gate pretty hard. It seems like they're dialing that back a little bit. A little bit. I think that strategy didn't pay off for them the past couple of generations. So now they're being a little more conservative. I'm a little bummed. I was hoping for more smaller projects.
Both will lead us to face a legendary automaton.
Which just Ubi doesn't seem to make anymore.
Let's go to the Forward.
Which is a huge bummer. Yeah. It's the actual UI of Odyssey. Yep.
Before we start our adventure,
yep. Same like grid of abilities on cooldown.
Let's make our way there. During her journey,
well, let's here. Let me.
legendary pieces of
I'm getting distracted thinking about it. Here, I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave it on this for the moment, and then I'll come back, and we can kind of dissect this announcement, all the games, and then also I guess the greater context of Ubisoft and where we can maybe guess where their heads or their hearts are right now. So a couple of minutes, you guys. I've been sipping on that coffee, getting the old motor running, and it's got requirements now. So I'm gonna go pay my dues. I'll see you guys in just a second.
But this Cyclops is another story. Boulders are his weapon of choice. Phoenix wields 3 legendary weapons, but her ultimate weapons are her godly abilities. That move was Athena's dash. And now for a bit of Ares' wrath. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Smashing the ground is also one of his favorite attacks. Let's take a health potion, just to be safe. Another chain of ability attacks and he's knocked out. Stunning enemies provides an opportunity to get in a lot of hits to regenerate stamina. Now we'll finish the fight with Hephaestus' hammer. Boom! When enemies are defeated, they shed adamantine, used to upgrade Phoenix's gear. Now that the fight is done, we can make our way towards the Rift. Rifts are tears in the veil to the underworld of Tartarus, Typhon's realm. Vaults of Tartarus challenge your wit, logic, and dexterity, and are also a place to combine your abilities and combat skills to solve puzzles and navigate your surroundings.
Okay. Yeah, Bosk, my suspicion for the entire reason for Phoenix Rising existing is that Ubisoft has converged on some tenets of game design that seem to sell very well, or at least they typically have. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was kind of the first game that really tanked, that was just by the numbers Ubisoft open world game. Ubisoft games are typically mature, and kind of like in movies, if you're rated mature, it just kind of lops down your potential sales market. So I'm gonna guess the corporate motivation behind making this game is it's an Assassin's Creed game we can sell to kids. And also, kind of on a generational basis, gets kids into that style of game and that ecosystem. So, yeah, the ancient Greek laser grid, yeah, that was a little out there, wasn't it? There's nothing wrong with making like family-friendly versions of games, especially since like reaching back to my GameStop days, I know many children that tried to convince their parents to get an M-rated game, and the parents just weren't having it. So if there's a game in that style that is age appropriate, that's probably going to sell pretty well. And the mechanics look good enough, you know, open world and stuff like that. So it's and it looks like there's a good amount of artistic. Oh boy, man, Breath of the Wild commentary was not that far off, was it? But more meters, more items, more cooldowns, combos. Like, boy, you never ask Ubisoft to create a game with 5 mechanics when 20 will do. They sure do love loading their games down with meters, and look how many meters are on screen right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if they're aiming. Good lord. People love game mechanics, don't they? Anyway, Yeah, this seems fine. Personally, I have to admit, I am well past the point of Ubisoft open world RPG fatigue, to the point where I'm not even sure I want to. I'll probably give Valhalla a chance, but we didn't also see anything from Valhalla. What the heck? That's weird. That's their like biggest tentpole release coming up.
When completed, you'll earn coins of Charon.
Strange. And then yeah, Mickey, exactly. You can create a generational fan base with games like that. Yeah, Valhalla, remember that? So let's take a look. I gotta admit, the one thing that there are many things that were absent. No Beyond Good and Evil 2. Not that I actually expected it, but let's see. List of games. Let's see here.
Forge is to destroy some of the corruption that Typhon has spread over the Golden Isle.
So, oh, this is all Ubisoft. Okay, never mind. Yeah, there we go. So Ubisoft had a engine that came to be sort of synonymous with a certain style of release called UbiArt, but it has basically been retired, which is a shame because it led to some really great, more experimental indie games like Child of Light and Valiant Hearts: The Great War. I was hoping for that sort of creative spirit to come back, because in the mid-2010s, Ubisoft did seem to try to provide an incubator for cool but less expensive game ideas. It seems like that spirit is all gone too, unless you count remakes, which don't count, and then also an extreme sports game, which seems to be kind of like mid-tier, maybe not. Grow Home and Grow Up, yeah, those games too. This is an unfair thing to conflate, but I can't help but think, with all the complaints about that have come to light about Ubisoft's executive structure and the decision makers being very homogenous, I can't help but draw some parallel between that and just how predictable Ubisoft's product line has been lately. Ostensibly, this is a new IP, but it's kind of not. It is a teen or E for everyone rated version of another game they make, compared to like something like Child of Light and how different that was, or Valiant Hearts, how different those games were from their mid-2010s lineup. I feel like they're trying to play it safe and not regain their reputation as the overpromise and underdeliver company for another generation of consoles. I agree with that a lot, Cubos. I see a lot of playing it safe. I think they've been, to the general gaming audience, I think, still remember the pangs and the hurt of Watch Dogs 1. So I think playing it safe is what I see, which is a bummer, because I always appreciated Ubisoft's tendency to be maybe overly creatively aggressive sometimes with their 2 more meters. Wow. And there's meters on the potions. Why are there meters here? Why does potion need meter? Is that cooldown for using another potion? Is that the idea? Good lord. Usually they just make it like on top of the potion itself. Why is it blinking if it's down? I guess to warn you that your timer's almost up? Yeah, duration, I guess?
And he's history.
Meters on meters on meters. I was not a fan of how many Far Cry games it turned out that felt the same as 3, which is basically all of them after 3. Yeah, I'm... There's been a massive convergence, a massive, I would say, definition of the sort of AAA game that sells at Ubi, and they haven't really deviated from that in the last decade. To be fair, they did go to a lot of expense to develop that format, so it's hard to blame them for extracting as much revenue out of it now as they can. But I feel like it's going to be hard for them to really capture people's attention the way they used to. You know, you can... I think an element of disappointment with Watch Dogs is understandable, but that was a wow moment that they're not really necessarily going to that they're not really touching again. So, you know, a little gun shy. I can understand that, but yeah, Cheeto man, that is the case. The single person that was specifically accused of sexual assault did get let go of the company. And as we actually covered way at the beginning of the stream some of the steps that Ubisoft claims they're going to take to rectify those problems. Black Flag was a really good game, though. I have my issues with Black Flag that don't necessarily need getting into. To me, Black Flag was the advent of Assassin's Creed becoming boring as heck. That's me. People really like boats and shanties, so that's fine. I tend to focus more on game mechanic, and Black Flag was the complete rejection of any stealth, any stealth mechanics from Assassin's Creed. It's been reintroduced a teensy bit, but whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter anymore. To some degree, I can't have it both ways. I can't complain about games being different than they used to be, but then also say the games aren't different anymore. So I understand that can sound a little hypocritical. Also, yeah, they are making a roller derby game that looked awesome. So that's actually genuinely cool. I kind of forgot about that until just now. So I would like to see more of this game. But yeah, when it comes to like original announcements, there weren't really that many. Let me turn my fan on, getting a little spiced about video games, starting to sweat a little bit.
Before we get the show started today,
I want to see Roller Champions. I want to see. Oh, it's already out? What? Shoot, I'm behind the times, man. I got to check that out. But yeah, I guess the biggest announcements are Prince of Persia Remake. That's cool. I frankly expected that they were going to leave Prince of Persia as a property behind in general. So it's nice to see that they're willing to still pay Jordan Mechner for the rights to it and remake it. Hopefully that leads to a new generation of people playing Sands of Time. I think it's a game worth people checking out, even if it maybe came out before their time.
I'm actually going to use an
Oh, it was a beta then. Okay, all right.
Get the ball a little bit first in front of my opponents just to get a little bit of leg.
The cynic in me again says, okay, the only reason they greenlit this game is because Rocket League was doing well. It feels like 10 years ago Ubisoft was a much more creatively aggressive company. But you know, I can't sneeze at the creative intent behind making a roller derby game. That's pretty cool. Was Just Dance 2019 the last Wii game released? I think so. Or maybe they're still putting it out. I don't know. They did their Just Dance 2021 reveal before the conference started, so Just Dance is still going. That's a thing. They finished that Prince of Persia reboot with Nolan North's voice. They abandoned that one. You're talking about the 2008 reboot of Prince of Persia, which was phenomenal. And then they had some DLC that kind of extended the story, but not in a very satisfying way, and then never got back to it. Yeah, it's hard to ask for wild creativity when Ubisoft in the past has done that and it has not paid off for them financially. So, you know, I have to be honest about the realities of what it is to be a giant company like Ubisoft, while at the same time sort of expressing frustration at the consequences of those things. Sure, there's just commentary about it. We don't need to necessarily go too heavy into that. The orange and blue sports game, it makes you think of Rocket League. Yeah, I mean, and also just the physics of people flying up in the air, the large light trails behind everybody. I mean, granted, those are like concepts you can't get away from. If those trails weren't there, you wouldn't be able to track anyone because they're too tiny. So, you know, I feel like to some degree, functional game design can drive games to look similar more than just outright creative theft. Yeah. You know, what works in Rocket League works in every game because it's just how games work, I think. But let's rewind a bit and tick through this. I guess we can kind of see. Yeah, they had some Brawlhalla stuff at the beginning, a show match, which was neat. Gotta admit, I haven't put a ton of time into Brawlhalla, but for the people who really like it, that's good. And then yeah, Just Dance. Shockingly, Just Dance still. I mean, shocking no one really. Just Dance brings in a lot of money. It's turnkey. It's the exact kind of game that every company wishes they had on their you know, line item revenues every year. You just gotta like pay some people to come up with some dances, gotta license some tracks, and you're done. Maybe there's more to it than that, but it sure does feel like that's the extent of it. So you know, nothing too shocking there. Oh yeah, they announced a like Far Cry 3 VR experience, which given that the Voss monologue was sort of treated as a milestone moment in video game narratives, or rather, in maybe just purely in performance capture. It's a neat idea. I'm gonna get like let's rewind a smidge. It seems like it's room scale VR for multiple people, which is an interesting thing. That implies that it really is only going to happen in like the mall VR outlets that are set up for it, which makes sense. I feel like Far Cry as a brand is about that, like has that level of familiarity with people. Here's the weird thing: who's gonna do it? Because I don't know, at least in the United States, it's not like we can just pop into a mall and strap a piece of gear onto our faces that have been worn by 20 other people, only at 0 latency. Okay, there we go. There we go. So I guess the interesting part about that is it's Ubisoft sucking revenue out of their existing properties through licensing, which is, Ubisoft is a company that has cultivated its own brand in addition to being tied into other big brands throughout the duration of its entire run as a company. We saw that trailer for James Cameron's Avatar, the game. They've done a lot of that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ubisoft. Now Ubisoft is in the position where they build up brands they can license to other people. And that's also a nice little line item to have on your revenue at the end of the year. When you can talk to investors like, hey, just because we've created Far Cry, well, they didn't create it, never mind, that was Crytek. Anyway, just because we bought Far Cry and built it into a world-known brand, now we can sell it to somebody else. We can rent it to somebody else and get some money. So that's pretty cool. I think there's a generational wraparound that people will remember playing Far Cry 3, and then after you eat your Cinnabon and you're rocking a Sugar Rush, why not dip into a VR place and shoot some, I guess, weird insurgents on a tropical island, and I guess get to have Voss scream at you again. Yeah, Red, and that it's wild because to me, and maybe this is just me, but that whole product is based entirely on that one first-person monologue that Voss drops, which is very cool. This is kind of neat too. You get to sort of walk around the Notre Dame through VR. There were some headlines that were maybe a little aggrandizing and misleading about the importance of the architectural studies that Assassin's Creed Unity did on the Notre Dame before it burned down or sustained intense fire damage. The whole thing didn't burn down, it's my understanding, but this is kind of cool, especially since, quarantine and all. I feel like everybody's sort of feeling the sting of not getting to see the world. So it's a pretty cool thing to be like, hey, you can come see the Notre Dame through VR. That is sort of in line with what I was lamenting, the lack of creative or fun and creative output from Ubi. That is a pretty safe product to put out. But something nonetheless, and it's for free, so that's nice. That's a goodie. They didn't have to do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, like, while links are certainly welcome and free on my stream. Links get auto popped here. So this looked interesting, and this I think is much closer to what I was complaining about. I don't know why they included this in the pre-show and not the show itself, because it is a new property, sort of like Space Engineers. I was watching this while I was scrambling trying to set up the overlays and stuff on OBS, so wasn't able to cut to it quite in time. Yeah, I think a lot of people missed this, which again, kind of confusing why they wouldn't include this in the show. And that's coming out really soon. VR. Who knows, like, the depth of the mechanics of that game. It presents itself as like a space survival game. So you're bumping around in your spaceship, you gotta mine space rocks to upgrade your ship, and then I guess you get hit with an asteroid and you gotta repair it. Yeah, I'm not sure why they wouldn't have included that. Also, it was very short. I don't know. There's been some weird rationale thrown around about the construction of this particular event. Specifically that I guess they said that they couldn't include Yves Guillemot's like addressing of current events in the show because of runtime issues. So sure, I guess it's a digital event, so why does that matter? But whatever. What is this? Hold on, there's another actual game. Karma? Hey, what are you doing, Ubi? Jeez, this is exactly the kind of experimental project I was hoping for. Also, Pix the Cat is a great game too, if you guys haven't played that.
Games and characters, often featuring Pix the Cat, our mascot. For Karma, it all started in the metro in Paris. You know, when you exit the subway, there are these very heavy doors that you have to push hard to open. Often the one who opens one of them waits a bit and then holds the door open for the person coming next. And this person, in turn, holds it open for the next. And there are always smiles and thank you exchanged between complete strangers. We wanted our game to feel just like that. Karma is an online game where you will play with a team of a dozen of persons.
It's a game where you hold the door open for people?
Randomly, all of them collaborating, sharing lights and resources, struggling together.
I want to be Frog! I want to be Frogman! Oh, there's a seal!
Who can change into
or a walrus. Did you guys see that?
Hold
on, let's rewind.
Special powers.
Hold on. Oh, there he is. There's our guy. Hey. Look at him. He's flopping.
All of these powers have to be combined in a timely manner to enlighten the path that leads to the next level of the Sankhata. Only helping others.
Okay, well, my complaints are not quite as substantive now. This looks wonderful.
We really can't wait to share the light with you online in 2021.
Cool. Yeah.
If you're just joining us, you're watching the official Ubisoft Forward
That looked really, really neat. Or kind of reminds me of 1001 Spikes, except more innately collaborative. I love co-op games where, like, maybe the point isn't necessarily to beat a thing up together, it's to actually collaborate. Like, the verbs of the game are not kill that thing at the same time. It's work together to get somewhere, to accomplish a goal. That looked really cool. And that is much more the sort of experimental game design, experimental concept that I have been frustrated not seeing coming out of Ubisoft lately. So, great. Absolutely great. Also, I saw a rabbit.
Over the years, Ubisoft's games have featured some iconic animals, including loyal companions like the Fangs for Hire in Far Cry and the Eagles in Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will even let you pick up cats and pet them.
Finally.
But have you ever thought about the real-life pets that inspired these in-game animals? Our teams
Any more stream plans today? Absolutely.
Support of their furry, scaly, or feathered friends, so we wanted to take some time to celebrate these loyal life companions.
Show pups.
Work-from-home buddies.
Why would you not? Why would you not go for the PR win?
And also
showing your pet rock during the shrimp. I love shrimp.
Ubisoft team members from around the world submitted pictures and videos of their
look at that little boy.
Horses, rabbits,
horses,
squirrels, a praying mantis.
Wait, hold on. Was that Mr. Schenkelford? What was the name of that? What was the name of that?
Squirrel.
Mr. Schenkenberg. Mr. Schenkenberg. Hello.
A praying mantis and shrimp.
Again, shrimp.
For this year's
also, I like that the shrimp name is Shrimp.
Of Ubisoft contest.
No.
And now, introducing the winner of Pets of Ubisoft.
Oh no, I'm not debating.
Ragnar the guinea pig, dressed up as Chorizo in his Libertad outfit from the upcoming Far Cry 6. Check out our
leaks. Oh no, they already announced Far Cry 6. Yeah, not to self-plug too much on Gfuel's channel, but I'm in the middle of Witcher Week, so I'll be continuing Blood and Wine on my channel after this.
Congratulations once again to this year's.
We gotta commentate, you guys. We gotta get through. We gotta really drill in and extract all that gaming news from all these announcements. That was cute. That was very cute. So I guess all told, this crew updates, I think. Yeah. So some updates to live service stuff. Oh, plug away. I guess I already did. Rainbow Six World Cup. That's pretty cool. I feel pretty happy on behalf of people who play Siege quite a bit. That's not me, but Ubisoft. It's seeming more and more like if you run a live service game and you're bringing in revenue from a live service game, you have to invest that money back in the service, not just in terms of content that's expected, but in terms of events and like opportunities for players to, you know, join teams, or, you know, you just got to feed the money of the ecosystem a little bit, give it more vibrance than just collecting checks from people who are killing time. A little too sweaty for you? Yeah. I mean, Rainbow Six has always been a sweaty game. That's just its DNA. Man, I remember playing the original Rainbow Six on PC way back when and being like, this game is rough, man. That was kind of the advent of realistic shooters. 2 bullets and you're down, or 1 maybe. It was a strategy game, not necessarily a shooter. Gadget destroying simulator. Drone smashing. Drone Smasher 2010. Okay, so updates to Breakpoint. I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised that they're sticking with that game. It seemed like the sales platforms, or the sales didn't do super great. Okay, so Roller Champions did get a little placement again in the pre-show. I just don't know why they would, like, you would think you would keep, or you think you would announce all, you would have all your new game announces in the event itself. So it's strange to me that they would put some of them, any of them, in the pre-show. Monster Camp seems fun. Again, another pretty original game. I think this is kind of like maybe visual novel kind of game. Yeah, that octopus shirt looks really cool. New IP is the lifeblood of these events. It's really confusing. I think that's changing. For people like you and me, yes, new IP is what we come to these events for. But I think Ubi is kind of making more and more decisions based off of the games that earn revenue, which means that these events are more for live service games. And that's something that I was sort of, kind of reminds me of Mystery Skulls a little bit. Kind of something that I've been thinking about how these like gaming PR events, we used to come to them expecting to be delighted by new and creative output. More and more, it's kind of almost slipping back to what they used to be, like E3 pre-2006, which is more business-driven. More for all of our active customers. Here's messaging to you. If you're not an active customer yet, you know, here's a shotgun of all these ostensibly new announcements for pre-existing things. I don't know. That's I guess what I find really fascinating. Did any of you who don't play any of the service games that were discussed, which I guess is Crew 2, Rainbow Six Siege, I guess there weren't actually all that many. I don't know. If anyone that isn't currently playing Siege, are you convinced now to play Siege since there is a World Cup? I think that's an interesting tack to take. Onboarding new players into existing services. I don't quite know what the PR technique there is. Whole lot of nopes. Yeah. I think that's understandable. Specifically in this case, like a World Cup announcement is for people who are currently playing the game and taking it very seriously. We got one maybe? All right. Honestly, I wasn't sold on anything they had. Yeah. It's tough to figure out who the target audience for this was. I mean, maybe there technically wasn't one. It is kind of what is this? It is kind of just an update of what's going on at Ubisoft. Oh, is this For Honor update maybe?
To give up.
Seems like
let
it.
Them decide our fate. But we won't. Because it only takes a spark to start a rebellion.
Is that how they're... Man, this is how they're designating their content packs, years and seasons? Does that make any of you who aren't currently playing For Honor want to check out For Honor? For me, kind of no. I feel like you either... yeah. I feel like you're either in it or you're not. Especially for a competitive game. Who at this point would want to jump into For Honor and fight against people who've been playing that game for 3 years straight? Not me. That's intimidating as heck. I feel like for competitive service games, For Honor burned me, so no. Yeah, it's interesting to see the games that pick up new players and the games that don't, I guess. Like Counter-Strike Global Offensive has been gaining players pretty steadily. So Dota, speaking up my booty hole a little bit, I think Dota's been plateaued for a while. Was this Division 2? Yeah. Division 2. I guess it's a little early, but let's see if this trailer convinces anyone to jump in. I guess it's like, that's kind of neat. It's like an endless dungeon sort of thing. That's fun. It's a little video gamey, but... It's like permadeath. You try to see how high you can get in the tower. Yeah, okay. That's a cool game type. I do really like those, because you gotta call up all your bros and be like, alright, we're taking this shit serious. Bring your good guns, we're gonna play for real. See how high we can get. It's like trying to set a high score with your buds. That's a really cool game type to throw into a game like this.
Nothing can stop us. Together, nothing can stop us. The world will bear witness. Yeah, we are the victors.
There's a big old boss at the end. That's neat. That's a neat idea. I don't think I'm going to start playing Division just because of that, but it's a cool idea. I don't know. What do you guys think? Also, sometimes, man, anyone reinstalling Division 2? If I was already into this game, I'd definitely try it. That's kind of how I feel too. If it were a game that I was already bought into, I'd be like, yeah, cool. My mind goes to like there's a mode in that, or a mode in Final Fantasy 14 that's kind of like that. I guess Destiny has some modes that are kind of like that. Those are kind of the two service games that I'm into right now. Might reinstall. Okay, my brother will probably love it. Maybe it's about the virality of it. So if your brother's super into it, maybe your brother gets so into it that they convince you to start playing it. So okay, kind of seeing some interesting marketing bits here. I feel like what works for me. No, okay, never mind. What works for me is not necessarily stylized trailers promising a new sort of aesthetic. It's more like, what's the actual content? Like, what are the actual modes? What are you actually adding? Roguelike raids are pretty fun. Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? Parmesan. Also, great name, by the way. Yeah. That's yeah. Oh, okay, I got some community content. That was pretty neat. Yeah, and then people howling at Uno.
Show. Up next, the main show featuring new announcements and a few surprises you don't want to miss.
Few surprises. What would those surprises have been? I guess Scott Pilgrim and Prince of Persia. 2 games they've already made. I mean, those are kind of limp surprises, but yeah. Okay, so how does this shape up? It seems like Ubisoft's fall is AC Odyssey. Nope, AC Valhalla, Phoenix Rising. That is coming out this fall. Yeah, yeah. And I guess Just Dance. Is Just Dance a holiday game for them? Let's see here. That's very weird. That's very weird for Ubisoft. Usually they have some new IP to launch with new generations. Yeah, okay. Just Dance 2021 is out November 2020. Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see here. Oh, it's got Lizzo. Sean Paul. Galantis. Oh. Personally love Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It took what Division did but made it feel better. Okay. That's yeah, the gaming community's reaction to Breakpoint, and I don't necessarily mean like qualitative reaction. Sales numbers of Breakpoint were pretty raunchy, pretty low. Ubisoft Tom Clancy branded games tend to sell pretty well, and that one was a pretty big outlier in terms of performance. Let's see here. I'm a fan of a lot of Ubi's games, but with all the games out there, I've fallen away from games like Siege. I think the point a lot of these announcements is to get players like me back in rather than maybe bringing new people on. There's so many games vying for our attention. Kalvrek, yeah, you nailed it there. There are just fundamentally, mathematically, more games now than ever. On top of that, there are more active games than ever. Not only are we getting more games coming out, but more of them are sticking around and trying to like be active service games rather than so it's just it's just a deluge of games marketing. It's impossible to keep up. It really is. I try my best, but even things slip through the cracks. It's just not possible to keep track of all games that are coming out, the dates they're coming out, the systems they're coming out for. Sometimes the staggered releases they do, and then also all the content updates for all the live service games. It's pretty intense. This game looks fun, especially for a certain age group that usually doesn't get to play those games. Stadia's presence in this was kind of odd. They're announcing a demo exclusive to Stadia, which there are some players in games right now that are throwing around money to try to bully their way in. Stadia, I guess that's their play, is they cut a check to Ubi to get exclusive rights, or maybe the other way around. Maybe no, there's no way Ubi paid Stadia. So Stadia bought the exclusive rights to the demo to presumably onboard people onto Stadia and sort of break down the frictional barriers to getting people to try the service. Okay, sure. That just seems like a weird get, especially for what you would assume a Google-backed venture would have deeper pockets than that. Didn't a demo of this leak through Stadia? Was it this game? Maybe. Being spread across so many launchers doesn't help. Yeah, there's that too. I have found in my rickety old brain, my cobwebbed old gamer brain, that sometimes if a game is on a particular launcher and I just don't look at that launcher much, I forget that I have it. And then I forget to play it because it just kind of falls out of my mind. Because the minute I turn on my computer, there's 18 games waiting for me. That's why GOG Galaxy, I think, is pretty useful. Disclosure, there is someone that I live with that works for CD Projekt. So that plug, I need to disclose my connections to that, I guess. But seriously, good old Games Galaxy, best client. I can actually link to all of your services and give you a nice list of all the games you have and all the games you have installed. And that can help a lot. Because, sometimes I'll install something and be like, I'm going to play that. And then just completely forgot that I did it. I tried Stadia. I have fiber. It was still jank as hell for stability and input lag. That's interesting. I've heard that it works pretty well, but yeah, obviously, it's entirely reliant on your connection. Yeah, and it doesn't link to Battle.net, but that's only 5 games anyway. Prince of Persia Remake is cool. Surprising. My assumption was that they created Assassin's Creed so that they wouldn't have to pay for the Prince of Persia license anymore because Ubisoft does not own that. I'm fairly certain. Prince of Persia as a property is still owned by Jordan Mechner, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool. So it's good that he's still getting, I guess, royalties. Sorry, I was reading about novels, and somehow my brain blended the two. Interesting that it would come back like this. I guess the Shadow and the Flame remake of Prince of Persia 2 was the last Prince of Persia game to come out in 2013. Before that, it was a sequel to The Sands of Time called The Forgotten Sands, which released around the time of the movie. It was kind of a soft tie-in with the film, but it was the prince from the Sands of Time trilogy, which was neat. It was kind of a fun game. It was a little more, I guess, baseline approachable than some of the other games, but it's, I guess, good to hear anything from that property again. Again, I'm a bit surprised. I thought Ubisoft made corporate moves to move away from that franchise entirely, and certainly a decade of it languishing would imply that as well. So, a little pat on the head for longtime Ubisoft fans, I guess, to remake Sands of Time. I tend to think that remakes are a pretty easy way to swipe money from your existing catalog, and it's a market test. If the Sands of Time remake sells well, then maybe they'll dump a little more revenue into it. So, perhaps they got a good deal on it. Maybe, Wombat Duck. It is possible that Prince of Persia has gone unused for so long that the asking price for the Prince of Persia title has gone way down. Because it was probably at its most valuable in 2010 when it was a movie property and a video game, and there had been a decade of Prince of Persia releases leading right up to that. Ubisoft has this tendency to build up a property and then try to make a movie out of it and then suddenly drive it into the dirt. So, granted, that didn't really happen with Assassin's Creed post the movie, but that movie was also not very good. That was a weird movie, man. And they also, like, as a connoisseur of stunt work, I was a little bummed at how they treated the eagle dive, the leap of faith, the highest stunt fall in any movie ever. And they surrounded it with so much CG you couldn't even really tell. It may as well have been fake, but yeah, they did have an amazing stunt fall in that movie that they also kind of ruined with shitty effects. But did Prince of Persia also have a mobile game? Yes, it had a few. I think Prince of Persia Escape. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And that was Ubi actually. So thank you for mentioning that. In 2018, Ubisoft, under the banner of its entity Ketchup, released Prince of Persia Escape, a mobile game for iOS and Android. It's a runner game made up of different levels. Player can customize protagonists with outfits from past games. Called Prince of Persia Escape, a mundane game crushed under the weight of excessive greed. So there's that. But it was a sign of life for the property. So this is maybe a bit more of an honest attempt to bring it back. I like Sands of Time. I am hoping that this exposes that game to a new audience. 15 years, 18 years is a long time. 17, I think, is where we're at. That's enough time for somebody to grow up having played Prince of Persia in their teens and now have kids. So I can kind of see the generational wraparound there of maybe parents introducing Sands of Time to their kids, or people who were too young or maybe not even alive when Sands of Time came out and are into maybe more arty games, more story-based games, might find that game. It may find an audience that it didn't find in 2003. The games market, the games ecosystem was different in 2003. So there wasn't quite a receptive bed for games that try to be what that game was. I might actually like Hyperspace. I need to give it a shot. I am just fundamentally, I have my issues with Battle Royale as a game type. It feels a little too much like Mario Party to me sometimes, where it's just you can be as skilled as you want, and randomness will just snap you out of the game sometimes. I understand that's part of the appeal, but for me, if I play a competitive game, maybe this is just in my head, and I gotta train myself out of this. But I want the game to be purely competitive. This is why I like 1v1 games. That's why I like Street Fighter and StarCraft, and to a lesser degree games like Quake Champions. But the battle royale aspect is it just injects a ton of randomness into it, and that kind of disincentivizes me from investing heavily into games like that. That's why I stopped playing Warzone and the weed skins. Oh man, the weed skins is why I love Call of Duty. I think I saw they just added a ghillie suit to Call of Duty that is weed leaves, so you can be a super pot sniper, which is pretty cool. Man, modern Call of Duty has embraced every meme about itself, and it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I can't lie, I love it. So I give credit to Ubisoft of all companies for putting out a battle royale that is more classically tinged in its shooting mechanics. That is something that's slowly re-entering gaming zeitgeist, is the 90s arena shooter, or on a more direct level, shooters that involve jumping and aiming quickly, guns that don't have ridiculous spread while you're moving, things that, like, basically shooters that acknowledge the player can move and aim at the same time, which ever since Modern Warfare 2 we've kind of done one or the other. So it's been fun to see that sort of creeping back into video game shooter design. So I appreciate Hyperscape on that level alone, even if the battle royale trappings just make it not quite for me personally. On that note, when it comes to more modern shooters, or shooters that are maybe not quite so hallway driven, yeah, boomer shooters is what they're called now, because every old asshole like me that cut their teeth on Quake 3 Arena is now old and you got the Dave Oshries of the world who now are businessmen and can fund the creation of those kinds of games to sell them to old people like me. And like Frank at 3D Realms and stuff like that. So there's been a good grassroots movement there of a bunch of like single A shooters, your Ion Furies, your Dusks, your Medievals. There's been a grip of those coming out lately. You think they'll ever bring back Quake? Well, I mean, there's Quake Champions, so it is back ostensibly, but as a single player experience, maybe I could see them merging Quake with something like Doom Eternal. Very literally, there is lore in Doom Eternal that implies Quake is part of that universe too, in addition to some Cthulhu influences. So I would like to see it on a fundamental level. I would like to see just more Cthulhu Eldritch terror shooters, like Quake 1. Quake 2 and 4 were fun rides too. The single player of Quake 4 is really cool, and Raven Software is starting to get credited again, despite being kind of shoved into the closet for a decade. Oh yeah, Diabolical. That's a fun game. It is very much a mechanically pure arena shooter. And it has attracted the boomers for sure. The people who were very good, much better than me, at Quake, are playing Diabolical. So, kind of, I would not discourage anyone from playing it. Just be aware that if you play Diabolical, you're throwing yourself into the deep end of the pool. There are very good players, and they will let you know how good they are. Hey, what's up, Jackson and Gart? Welcome, guys. But I really struggle to find any problem with the Siege World Cup. Yeah, and also rest in peace, Total Biscuit. The most cultured gamers on the planet are fans of arena shooters. Rod Breslau, I don't know if you're out there, but good old Slasher is always a longtime proponent of the purity of Quake, and I will be there too. Yeah, Ravensoft is a helper for COD. I mean, they're not helpers. They've been making COD multiplayer. That's them. They've been making the most popular multiplayer shooter on the planet I guess until Fortnite. For the past decade and a half, and they never really got credit for it. They've just been there, getting paid by Activision to crank out really, really popular multiplayer shooters. So I'm hoping with them getting visible credit on Cold War, that it'll lead to them maybe getting more opportunities to develop games under their own merits and under their own steam. Singularity was the last one, and it didn't sell 50 million copies, so Activision hated it. Yeah, Krendist. The last game that was a Raven production was Singularity, which is an amazing game, by the way. If you like story-driven environmental single-player games, go check out Singularity. It's got that spirit for sure. It's a very, very good game. Great ride. This trailer for the Siege update was pretty cool. Again, I'm kind of fascinated by just how much hand-to-hand combat there was in a game that doesn't really revolve around that. I figured the trailer thematically would be all about like outmaneuvering, using a fair amount of gadgets and gunplay for sure. but it also a fair amount of Sam Fisher just dealing with the youths. I was kind of hoping he would do the stupid like split wall kick thing, but old habits die hard or whatever. Yeah, I agree, Wes. Raven are absolutely the unsung heroes of Call of Duty development cycles. Their raw consistency in terms of timing and creative output is worthy of celebrating, and it has frustrated me for a long time that they've kind of gone under-acknowledged. But this was a cool animation. I mean, I have to appreciate the fact, Ubisoft could have just put out a sizzle reel of a bunch of people playing Siege, but they did this whole like really well animated short. So I thought that was pretty neat. There's a lot of really neat shots, or a lot of pretty good animation in this. They didn't need to do that. They did. Good for them. I think kind of shaking out the Sam Fisher vibe is a bit of a weird touch, and also to me it implies one of two things, right? Either they're not touching Splinter Cell, or they're trying to remind people Splinter Cell exists to make another Splinter Cell game. But I think Splinter Cell ran its course, unfortunately. It went from ponderous, mechanically dense stealth game to absurdly loud, big, dumb Hollywood action movie, with good games sprinkled all in between. And to a degree, we still have Chaos Theory, so they'll never take that from us. But it would be nice. But it seems like Ubisoft in general has moved away from stealth games, which is also kind of evidenced by the direction of Assassin's Creed. They've been reminding us about Splinter Cell for 5 years. Yeah, they keep cramming Splinter Cell iconography into other games. It's very strange. Yeah, they're putting Sam Fisher in everything except a Splinter Cell game. Yeah. They just chuck Sam into things to keep the IP contract alive? Yeah, maybe. That could be. With the estate of Tom Clancy. I have to admit, it's kind of weird. I guess the one thing that refutes my theory about Ubi developing Assassin's Creed to get away from Assassin's Creed away from Prince of Persia, is that they never really did that with Tom Clancy's branding. They seem pretty at home. Yeah, the Scott Pilgrim re-release, that's fun. I can only assume it was music licensing or maybe property licensing issues that led to the game going away for a bit. But the movie has come and gone, which is phenomenal. If you like Edgar Wright or fun comedy action films, you should check it out. But the game itself was also a really fun beat 'em up. Couch co-op is one of those things that doesn't happen much anymore. So if you're looking for a fun game to just sort of blast through with some friends in an evening or two, this is certainly worth it. Yeah, online co-op. I was just wondering about that too. I thought the original had online co-op, but I could be very wrong about that. Complete edition, I guess with 2 playable characters. Nope. Hold on a second. Yeah, no next-gen logos. The Stadia branding was on a lot of their releases, which I found interesting. And it was also a very hard game, yeah. Third act kind of soured the movie for me. Yeah, things got to end at some point, and yeah, hey, they tried their best, man. It's not like there was a better ending in the comics. The manga of Scott Pilgrim had an even choppy or chunkier ending, depending on how generous you want to be with it. Holiday 2020. Okay. Yeah, they didn't really mention online co-op, did they? That seems like an important thing, especially since these days it can be difficult to invite the bros over for a couple of brews and games. Just go get your test. Just swab your mouth, bring your negative email, and you're fine. Oh, online co-op was added with the Wallace DLC. Okay, thank you, Wafflebot. I appreciate that. So I can only assume, since that DLC is included, that online co-op will be in the game. Isn't it kind of late 2020 to be giving the vague holiday 2020 date? Yes. I presume that the holiday 2020 dates right now are because we still don't have launch. Well, Xbox finally gave name or prices and dates. PlayStation has yet to, but I speculate holiday 2020 is still being thrown around because we don't know when next gen's coming out. And if you could launch a week before next gen consoles come out or a week after, you definitely pick a week after. So I think everybody's kind of up in the air because they want, if it's a digital game, you might as well publish after the PS5 and Series X and Series S are out, so that when people drop their consoles, yeah, Xbox didn't even mean to do it. It was an accident. I think it was a week early, so they were still planning to do it pretty soon here. But my theory, such as it is that everyone's waiting to know when these new consoles are going to be out, because when you plunk a PS5 down on your countertop, you're going to go to the store, you're going to buy, Miles Morales, and then Ubisoft would love to be one of the 20 digital games on offer there, so you might as well wait to see when that's going to happen. Odds are Ubisoft knows, or maybe they know a window, but they can't say, because if they put a date down and every game says, hey, we're launching this specific week in November, I think people would start to add it up. So that's my read on it. They probably put these trailers together before the Xbox announcement. Oh yeah. And there's no way in hell somebody's going to go back to a trailer that's been approved by all executive layers of Ubisoft and be like, can we change the date? No, it's been approved. Shut up. Like the conference is in 2 days. No one slept in 48 hours. We're not changing anything. You don't talk now. I wish there were more solo or couch co-op games with online as an option, not forced on you. Everything's so heavily focused on online play. I personally don't like online games. I prefer to play solo with just my husband. Yeah, couch co-op is something that a lot of people I think have been asking for. I can more or less guarantee that at least Scott Pilgrim is a local co-op beat 'em up, because that's what it was when it launched. So that's something, and it's a fun ride. That's just a fun game. And yeah, they added Stormzy to, well, he's doing a music video for Legion, I think is the idea. I don't know that he's in the game proper, but it's certainly a cross-promotional deal. Some of the stuff they show, oh, that's a cool bag. I like that. That's cool. Some of the stuff they showed for Legion, pretty video gamey, but it is a video game, so there you go. I can't help but see this stuff and think about the mechanics they have in Odyssey, where if you recruit certain NPCs, then they give your boat certain perks. It's whatever. It's like, it's not. People have complained in the past about all Ubisoft games converging on particular gameplay mechanics, like towers. Towers appeared in every Ubisoft game for a minute there, and then I found other ways to do towers, and also still put towers in their games. So I don't know that it's necessarily like all, like, I think it's just incidental sometimes that game design can converge like that. I haven't played Watch Dogs 2, and I have yet to see, personally for me, anything that gets me really amped about Legion. I'm not super fond of the Ubisoft thing of being adjacent to real world issues, but trying to make them wacky and fun and approachable for everybody. I prefer games that give me something to think about, not just a bunch of wackiness. And I'm sure, I guess what fascinates me is in Legion, how are you going to have progression mechanics that cross the whole game, when the whole game is jumping into and out of different people's perspectives? Maybe, and that's on my ignorance. I haven't done a ton of research about the game. But what, like, are you a centralized hacker in some basement somewhere hacking into everybody, and then that is what levels up or whatever? It's hard for me to imagine that there's going to be an open world Ubisoft game without 1 or 2 meters that gradually crawl up over the course of the entire game. And you buy skill, like, oh, everyone you possess has 20 more HP. Like, of course there's going to be stuff like that, right? Maybe not, but there will be cyber bees. How does real honey taste? What? A beekeeper doesn't know what real honey tastes like? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, DedSec perks or something. Yeah. As DedSec increases their control over the hearts and minds of the people of London, you get perks that when people take up the DedSec mantle, then they get empowered with the singularity of purpose. And your cyber bees do 20% more damage. Reduce cooldowns on cyber bees by 10%. Like, there's gonna be some grid of like upgrades, right? But yes, there are cyber bees, and apparently a James Bond knockoff. It's to a degree, Watch Dogs 1 was thematically about how disquieting it can be when you can see through everyone by using technology. You know, you just walking down the street, you get little windows whether you want them or not about this man loves his steak medium rare. This person likes to drink their own pee. Like, that was fun because of the more serious tone of Watch Dogs. It invited you to sort of think critically about the dissolution of privacy and like how technology changes our lives. Not a whole lot of that happening in Legion, aside from the idea that the world is filled with weird and diverse people, and you can hop into and out of them, wear them like a skin. Plays into ideas of Anonymous too, which again is Ubi playing with but not embracing modern and charged topics. Put cyber bees in 2077. Yeah, where are our cyber bees? So yeah, Aiden Pierce is back. It's gonna be weird seeing Aiden Pierce juxtaposed with a very goofy, wacky, bing bong kind of game. Because Aiden Pierce is not a wacky person. Aiden Pierce is kind of a pile of crap. Made him a great protagonist. Not a good guy, but a protagonist. So yeah, that'll be weird. This is fun. Riders Republic, yeah. They sure did lean into the body humor of people wiping out in a grand fashion. That was what this whole trailer was about. It was about the freedom, the expressiveness of being an extreme sportsman, but also hitting stuff and wiping out. So those are kind of the two big verbs of an extreme sports game, right? You're doing cool tricks and then you slam into a tree and you cringe and it's awesome looking. Again, I think there's a lot of value to be mined out of seating you in a world with tons of other players and seeing all of them crash and mangle themselves while you're trying to do your run too. I think, kind of like I mentioned when we were watching the trailer, I've seen in Grand Theft Auto, yeah, there's like a dude in the background eating it on a tree. They highlight that in so many of the clips that it has to be one of the operative mechanics of the game. But one of the greatest virtues of something like Grand Theft Auto Online it is a rolling derp factory. There's just bodies raining all around. There's people slamming into things. There's jetpacks flying into buildings. You merely must walk down a street in Los Santos to see people, bludgeoning each other and whacking into stuff and ragdolling all over the place. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun time. And then a hacker comes in and a UFO drops on your head. So hopefully that won't happen in Riders Republic. I could see that being fun. I could see that taking off in like streaming and Let's Play communities too. It's a big family. Like it's not mature, so that already makes it pretty easy to make content with. This isn't necessarily me thinking about me and what I do so much. It's about how these games can sort of take viral hold and find audiences. And stoking the content creation flames is a good way to do that. So I could certainly see this becoming a bit of an underground favorite with streamers and YouTubers, of just like, hey, here's my sick run. Also, a nonstop parade of wacky derp moments makes for pretty good YouTubing. I can say that with confidence, having produced GTA Online content for half a decade. Kozlaus, hey, welcome. Just taking a final commentary pass on the conference here. So it's a neat idea, and at least it's a bit different. I don't know how many artisanal gas masks we're gonna see out of Ubisoft. This seems to be a cultural thrust at that entire company. I remember seeing a ton of that with Watch Dogs 2. People sure do like their blinged out street art gear, don't they? How has this event been? I think underwhelming may perhaps be the operative term, but it really depends what expectations you were. Oh yeah, Far Cry New Dawn. Yeah, Revolution aesthetic. Yes, but fun Revolution. We're all wearing purple and spray painting bright neon blue stuff everywhere. It is, yeah. See, and they're even showing like rolling derp stuff. Is this another Steep? I mean, I think you can. Steep, I think, certainly paid into this. This probably wouldn't exist if Steep didn't find an audience and show some potential. Well, yeah, it looks neat. The graffiti mode that they have is a pretty cool feature. I could see streamers and influencers and stuff making content with this. especially if they're paid to. I imagine that'll be happening. Ubisoft, you have my email. Actually, they may not, but so then it goes into like more in-depth looks at Phoenix Rising, which is neat. You know, I it's not for me. I'm pretty confident in saying it's not for me. Rather, I'm not the demographic targeted for that. Oh, and that was the post show. Okay, Phoenix Rising, and then a show match for roller derby. Okay. Did Steep find an audience though? I can only assume. That it must have found something based on the fact that they greenlit Riders Republic, I guess. What are you most excited for, if any? Probably the Prince of Persia remake. Just because, yeah, nothing else really appealed to the kind of games that I like. And again, I read so much into this is more Ubisoft talking about the games that have been driving business returns for them and less of that sort of big, flashy, creative announcement kind of thing. Karma looked really fun. There wasn't a whole lot to capture the interest. This looked neat too. Agos? Huh. Oh, it's a game of space. Okay. Pretty direct naming there. But Karma looked really cool. I'm not super into survival sims as a format, but I like space. And yeah, Prince of Persia remake. I just really like Sands of Time, so that's the kind of legacy brand appeal. I have a lot of warm feelings tied towards that game. So not necessarily as much just the game itself as the premise that Prince of Persia might be something that Ubisoft's willing to revisit in a meaningful way, and not as a mobile game or an endless runner. That'd be nice. You don't know much about me. What do I mainly do or play while on Twitch? Let's see. Lately, and that's a misleading term because it's really the past year, I sort of transitioned careers a little bit. My most recent history is in YouTube Let's Play production. I worked for Rooster Teeth for 5 years, making that content. Since left that company, went independent, have been streaming more or less full-time since then. Had other production plans, but COVID had other things to say about that, but that's all right. So I've been having a blast just playing through what I consider my backlog, essentially. So this week in particular, I've been playing through Witcher 3 because that's a game I never finished, and I would like to finish it before Cyberpunk comes out. But in turn, like I would say, as a whole, thematically speaking, I tend to play more single-player focused games, mechanically dense, fast, action-driven games that are very difficult. Definitely love me some hard games. So yeah, lately I've been playing Doom Eternal on Ultra Nightmare. It has been my longtime project to beat that game on Ultra Nightmare. I finally beat 2016 on Ultra Nightmare, but yeah, Doom Eternal is a very long game, and on Ultra Nightmare you have to beat the whole thing without dying once. I've been making some progress though. I've been getting better. So that's a fun game to try to play through. A lot of tension, a lot of stakes. So I'll be getting back to that soon, but I've dedicated the week to trying to beat Witcher 3's. Now I'm up to Blood and Wine, the latest expansion, and it's been fantastic, absolutely phenomenal. Been loving that game quite a bit. And you know, as the aforementioned big gamer style, I've been playing it with a bunch of mods and tweaks to make it more difficult, and a little bit wackier. So we've had some pretty interesting Geralts over the course of the week. So that's the other thing, is I'm pretty PC focused. So one of the favorite things I enjoy doing is going back and finding older games and then, you know, installing AI upres mods or something like that to kind of give them a bit of a facelift, putting the time and effort and the tech savvy behind the scenes to present games in a new way, and then also try to beat difficult games, and in that process not get really heated and start snipping at chat for making fun of me for losing. So it's a fun back and forth we have, wherein I make a game overtly difficult on myself and then verbally abuse my chat for trying to help. Yeah, we have a good time. We have a really good time. And then yeah, I guess I have some other creative outlets that I express on the channel, but those are typically a little less popular than just playing a video game. So that's probably the top of the line thing that I do. And also, as maybe has been evidenced by my nearly constant rambling for the past 2.5 hours, I love video games a lot. my history is in games journalism, and that comes from a past of just being a huge video game enthusiast. I just love games pretty purely. I say there's not a whole lot of complication to that. So I have a history in games writing, tons of blogging and things like that, following industry news. A lot of my games commentary is usually informed by, and you've probably heard this today, even though I don't have the specific numbers, but typically informed by trying to track how these businesses operate as businesses, tracking where the money comes from, and how that influences what they do in the future, trying to explain launch timings and promotional efforts more in terms of what's the business sense behind it versus what is the core market's take on it, which can sometimes land me in some hot water. The core will sometimes decide that this is why things are happening, and then I'll get up there and say, no, they're doing this because they're a business, and then people get mad at me for being pro-corporation, whatever. That's a little too into the weeds, but if you want to hear some deep meandering and rambling about the games industry, I can certainly provide that too. But I think that'll round it out. Hopefully that's a good enough summary of me and what I do on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching. There's not a whole lot more to talk about, really, because there wasn't that much presented. But then again, Ubisoft didn't really tell us that there was just going to be loads and loads and loads of stuff. Do you do podcasts or talk shows? You seem like you'd be amazing at it. I hosted a podcast for about 5 years, yeah. Currently do one with my buddy Bruce Green, and Kryken, who you maybe you're familiar with either of those. They're kind of bigger on Twitch at the moment than I am. But yeah, we get together every other week. We're kind of actually in the middle of changing our podcast. It was just sort of a talk about whatever podcast. Now, Kryken's sort of taking the reins of it a little bit and making it more about finding creators on the internet, like mod makers, community leaders, and things like that, and talking about the various deep subcultures of the internet. Most recently, we talked to Inferno Plus, who's made a variety of cursed Halo mods. You may have seen GIFs of those on Reddit or what have you. But we got to talk to them about their work and how they do it, and it's always very educational and a little bit inspiring too. If you want to get into content creation or carve out a little place on the internet to do cool stuff. But yeah, okay, that I think is the I think we covered it all. Again, I'm Lawrence Sonntag, dubbed the quintessential gamer by my buddy Bruce way back when. And I just play video games, play big, hard video games. I'll be live later on my channel, twitch.tv/Sirlar, SIRLARR. And I guess you can catch me there, and more rambling about video games. So thanks again to all of you. I'll throw it back to a variety pack of Ubisoft-related clips to close us out. But thanks again for watching. Thanks to Ubisoft for generating games promotional material that I can piggyback off of. Thanks to Gfuel for hosting this. It's a pretty cool thing to do. I really enjoy doing this and hope to enjoy it more. But speaking of, I'm going to go take a little sip of the Gfuel myself and get ready to stream. So hopefully you guys all have a great day. Thanks again for watching, and hope you have a great day gaming too. Catch you next time.
You have 24 hours to retrieve that.